Hello everyone, welcome back to Goosebumps HorrorTown playthrough. This is Grim, and it's been a while since we've had an update, and I'm going to talk to you about why that is the case. When we finally got the update, this is going to be the special event 18. That's right, another event. It seems like this is going to be the norm now, so let's get used to it. Oh boy. But let's go ahead and talk about what is to be added into this event, as it were. Like I stated before, I'm going to be talking about all the information that is useful for these Part Zeros. It is going to be a bit of a briefness to it, because the book in particular this is involved with doesn't have much info, but let's go ahead and try anyway, shall we? So first things first, let's take a look into teasers. Now, there were 2 teasers that got posted, and I'll go each one by one. Now, one of the things I mentioned was that this was going to be basically heavy on the 4th of July theme. Although this update came out right after July has hit, you know, with a lot of birthdays have been passing and all that stuff, mine included, and Goosebumps, I'm guessing. But regardless of that, yeah, one of the biggest ones was the 4th of July. And what's interesting about the 4th of July is that we've never really had a book or something particular that matches with it. So seeing a challenge of finding out what book would fit well with this is interesting with what they've kind of came up with. But regardless of that, let's go ahead and dive into what the event entails by looking into our first teaser, that being this from our good old friend Slappy, which says,
"Ooh, the mayor's popularity has dropped after the last events. Maybe it's time for a change."
It's interesting too, seeing how they on the side have like different clips of papers on the back. It's kind of like suggesting it's a hot press news, and I do like the style instead of the normal plain background. But one thing of note is that they've mentioned the whole leading up to. So when I said June was leading up to this moment, it was. They were having some sort of, let's have a mayor election. So that's our gimmick. That's why it's the 4th of July, because there's going to be an election. So what's the better election than have a mayor? And yeah, that'll be interesting to find. And they leaked the information. Whoops! Yep, before the update finally hit stores, or even they posted what it was, the website to Pixowl has just basically blurred out what it was, and whoopsie daisy, it's the Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid. Yeah, so as we can see, this is the book they've chosen. I'll talk more about the book, as well as the whole aesthetic. Seems like it's a carnival-esque theme, I guess, summer, July fair. I don't know exactly what they're going on here. I love the look of it. As well as what's interesting about this is that you'll notice that some of the cards being shown here is actually, like normally when it comes to the blurbs, they usually have these weird, not really English language, but kind of like English. But no, this time around, they've actually, for the 4 cards, they actually did make some interesting facts about these. So I'm going to read to you the one here, which is the monster card. And I want to show you the appreciation to some of these cards. So first of all, the monster card. Does a hella damage, sends target creatures straight to Hades, all allies units drinks tea. You can see the humor with that, and I'm guessing it's this kind. Sounds like this is like a mix of D&D with Yu-Gi-Oh! If you ever played that, but you know it's what it is. The other 4 cards, which are interesting, and I might as well point this out because I did see these ahead, so I might as well go ahead and tell you what these cards have. So with the monster, there's a hero card. The hero card says, "Champion of the weak and worried will jump into peril without hesitation. I take bad wardrobe decisions. Draw 1 extra card." So you can see how they've kind of made it seem like it's fun, plausible kind of deal and whatnot. The next one that pops up is the wild card. So the wild card reads, "Wilderness awaits in its whole magnificence. It doesn't need anything. It doesn't need you. Discard your whole hand and draw the same amount of cards." And the last but not least is the Emperor card, which looks very interesting with it. You can tell it's a dragon and all that, and the fire and all the things. But this one says, "The Emperor, the mightiest fearless dragon of the flames. You win the game." So it's like it's almost like the Exodia thing, where it's like you get all the cards, you win automatically. It doesn't matter, you lose. It's one of those you win the game kind of card. So that's like an overpowered card. I can see why that card would be banned in games, but I digress. Anyways, we'll get on to more about this update in particular, because we've kind of drawn back with some interesting lore within the background here. But now we're going to move on to the last tease after this whole thing got exposed, and that is this one here. This is teasing on 2 new characters popping in. If you read the Pixowl's website, it mentions 2 characters by the name of Jacko and Squilly. And you might be wondering what that whole thing's about. And if you looked onto the Goosebumps lore, you'll probably notice that, hey, what's going on here? Why? I haven't seen these 2 characters. Are these new OCs like Ellie? Yes and no. They are new characters. They're not based on anything else, but they're not technically new characters. These are what these guys look like, and you may have noticed one of them, Jacko in particular, looks very suspicious, like someone you may or may not know. Yes, this is something that I was honored to hear about, because me and Erasmo, if you remember from the last update we talked about, me and him have now been, our personas have now been put into the game's lore as these 2 interesting weirdos of a TV host for the HTTV station. And the reason I'm telling you this right now up front is because I actually did a live reaction of me seeing him for the first time, so you're gonna actually get to hear that, but I'll talk more about that later on while this part's going forward. But yeah, these 2 characters, they're not actual walk-arounds, they're more NPCs, much like Curly. They may in the future come into the game as actual walk-arounds, but as of right now, they're just there as the dialogue. And my god, I love how these guys are written. The story, I'll get into that when we get into the gameplay, but oh man, I am quite interested to know that I've now gotten myself to be part of this game's lore, and in a weird way, a part of Goosebumps, unofficially or not. So it's somewhat of an honor, but it's also weird at the same time, because now I get to see this guy and basically gonna have to voice myself in a way. I'm gonna take him as a separate character, but I don't know. I mean, you guys can decide down below if I should adapt him as myself or if I should just make him into his own thing. The name Jacko, actually, his whole full name is Jacko Crow, and I came up with the name itself. They asked me, oh, do you want to whatever, and I'm like, yeah, name him this, because it's a little nod, as it were, but they kind of shortened it to Jacko. That little bombshell has happened, so let's go ahead and talk about the book. So, as we've spoiled a few minutes ago, the book is Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid. This is based off of the Goosebumps 2000 book of the same name. The idea behind it is that a kid goes to a garage sale of a weird old man who happens to also be a wizard, because his name is Zarwid, which is a weird anagram for wizard, so it's not very smart on his part to be creative, but regardless, he ends up getting this card game, and it's a weird D&D style game. Like I explained, the best way to describe it is imagine Dungeons and Dragons but with Yu-Gi-Oh! That's the best way to describe this as. This is how this game works. So it's interesting to see how this story unfolds from what it's adapted by with the art style. And what's weird is that the only weird art style comes from the French work, and it's basically, again, the dragon, but this time he's actually holding cards. It's rather interesting, let's just put it that way. I think there's not much to talk about with the book. It's basic. What I just told you is roughly all you need to know about the book, so there's that. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about the Reddit thread I kind of posted. Now, something I will mention here right now is that there are some... I didn't update everything within this, but I'm going to run with it as I go along, so bear with me. But anyways, let's go ahead and read what they've sent to me. Long live the king. Let's play to find out. Join HorrorTown's TV station hosts Jacko and Easy... Ezekiel. I'm sorry, I can't say his name properly. I'm just gonna call him Easy, okay? I'm sorry, I know, but I cannot. So, Jacko and Easy for an untold story in which HorrorTowners seek for the mayor's replacement. Experience the Independence Month with your favorite Goosebumps characters, and check how Mr. Zarwid puts Be Afraid card game in Connor's hands in the midst of the election season. After the recent incidents, the town's neighbors are shuffling cards to seek a new mayor. Independence winds blows through HorrorTown streets, and heroes, neighbors, and monsters get together to call for a new election. But there's something you'll always find in HorrorTown. It's terror. During a yard sale, Be Afraid card game falls in the hand of a young Connor, and the result is a new king of HorrorTown. But this king is certainly a wild card. So, here are the highlights that you need to know about this update. As I kind of hinted, this is a 4th of July D&D themed update and has a lot of stuff to talk about. The event is related to the book Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid. There is a book with, surprisingly, there's a timer with it now. But you'll need Connor in order to complete the book, and you most likely will need Zarwid in order to finish it, which means you'll have to get the bundle for it. It does come with a scare deco, and the item in the book can be gotten in the store, which I'll talk about in the Crafting 101. But what you need to know is that the item requested for this book can also be obtained within the shop. So that is done by design, so that way you don't have to invest into the book if you really don't want. You just want the item, you can do it that way. Now, I will be talking about something else big coming up, because this is going to be interesting how moving forward how these are going to work when it comes to these pop-ups. So we'll know later on down the road. But anyways, Phantom of the Auditorium's not in the book section anymore, as it's placed, this event's book is in this place, which we've come to expect now. There are 2 new characters and 1 new scene introduced to this update. The first is a new premium character, Connor, which is worth $6.50 of the Goosebucks, and Mr. Zarwid, who unfortunately is available in packs because he's unique. I do believe they both have one task and help create the grand prize. One of them particularly, and the other one you can argue with. Again, more or less information will come in the Crafting 101. I won't go too much in details right now. The grand prize this time around is the Horror Throne. It is interesting. I'm wondering what that might be based off of. Be interesting memes to come with this. And the new crafting that you can get with this is the Jekyll's Haunt. This is the other new scene that has popped in. This is going to be a lot of currency. In this case, it's the pin badge token, but oh boy, is it a lot with that one. Like, well, what can you do? I'll talk more about, again, more information on this stuff and crafting, all that comes in the Crafting 101, so I won't go in too much in depth. There's also a new scene area, and with it comes the Dragon's Den. I think it's called the Dragon's Den or Dragon's Cave. It's the Dragon's Lair. It spawns the dragon known as Sparkles, and it is a 50-50 drop. So, say that as you will. Now, the book also, this update also comes with, how do I explain this? Basically changed the landscape a little bit to add more land feature in there. So again, nothing really new added there except for 2 new lands. One I think is the 350 thing, and then the other one is actually a grinding item that you can get, if we've come to expect now. But something that's interesting that has now confirmed my suspicions since the last update. In this update, you are now able to get Emily and the Headless Horseman for event currency for a limited time. This has now confirmed my suspicions of what they're going to be doing. They are now going to be giving you higher level characters for the event for a limited time, because they want to make sure that they can actually have more fleshed out characters and have people be more available. This also gives players who only play the free-to-play route a more of an ability to get some stuff more better ahead of time. The reason I say that is because you'll see when it comes to Emily being involved is she has a lot of items that she can drop for you. So this isn't a positive move moving forward, and I really hope I see more of this. We'll have to wait and see, but I am looking forward to it, as it were. Now, something I'm going to mention before we end this video off, and that is the reasoning why this took so long in the first place. You see, when I mentioned about the special books and all that stuff, it's finally after 2 years of sort. It feels like 2 years. It's finally come out. The special book has finally been unlocked. And the way they're doing this is through a bundle exclusive. So I'm going to explain how this works here a bit, and I'll talk more about this in the first part. But how it works is that every weekend a new book will pop in. These books will be from previous events. This is an actual replaying the events before. The first one that came up is going to be the one I'm going to be looking at in its own separate video, which is the Bad Hair Day. And as you'll notice with the Bad Hair Day, is that out of all the events I've done thus far, this is the only one I haven't actually recorded. So hooray for you, you finally get to see what I've been trying to talk about. So how this is going to work is that I am going to be talking about this in its own separate video, which is going to be called, as you see in the title here, Special or Revisited Special. And it is going to be looking at the actual bundle, what it comes with, what items is needed, how the quest is going to work, replaying some of these quests, and it's going to be a little bit shorter-ish. But the other thing too with it is that it's also going to be looking into a lot of the, and this is the interesting part. This is going to give you players an opportunity to get these. If you want to replay the event or something like that, you can now do so. What's interesting, what they tell me is that once you buy this book bundle, that's it. You keep it, so you get to replay, and that's it. There you go. It's yours. If you don't buy it, then it goes away after, after the weekend ends, and then a new one will pop in. For now, though, it seems like they're going to be focusing on the Bad Hair Day, and the reason why is because, there's a nasty little glitch that happened with me in particular, but I'm sure a lot of you also too. A lot of people have had some experiences, and like with anything new, there's always bound to be some problems. Hence why this took so long in the first place, because this new thing is going to cause some problems, and it is, so they're trying to make sure all the problems are fixed before everything else is done. They are looking into trying to do a freemium way of getting these books, but I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work. But for now, they're going to be through bundles, and they may cost a lot. If you're, and I'm going to say this right now, if you're a player like me who've played through these events, the bundles cost a lot for you. However, if you're completely new to the game, the bundles are really good price, because all the stuff they give you is they give you everything. Almost everything. So it's like what a deal, right? Now, here's the interesting thing about this though. You will need to buy the bundle in order to unlock the book. Now I say this, and the reason why this was a glitch was I ended up getting access to the book without buying the bundle. And this caused problems. And I'll talk more about that when the video comes out, but that's all you need to know. So, all in all, this is everything with this update. It's all over the place, and part 1 is going to be real interesting. The Crafting 101 in this video coming up is going to be more talking about the whole thing. I'm not going to look at each character individually. I'm going to actually be doing that during part 1. And I'm only going to be talking about characters that are very useful and my overall feelings on the whole thing. But this event is, well, we'll have to wait and see. But, yeah, let me know what you think down below. I will be getting myself ready and prepared for the grand unveiling, the grand opening to the yard sale plaza, whatever they want to refer to the plaza as, because my doppelganger is going to be ready to go ahead with the HTTV. So let's go ahead and end it off there. When you join this video, let me know down below, and we'll be seeing you next time for whatever Goosebumps gives us. So until then, bye-bye.